Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Halting Talks. You're joined today by me, Scott, Jamie and Nathan. Lads, how are we?
All good, thanks,
Good,
Scott.
mate. How are you?
No Azzy today, but Nate's jumping back on. Busy boy at the moment. I see you doing lots of shirts on TikTok and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the home Aston Villa shirt without the sponsor is kind of lit a bit of a torch paper, like for everyone that wants different things on their Villa shirts, which has been good fun. There's been some that I've liked and they've looked good. There's some that I've just did them anyway, and some that I just flat out refused because I just think morally I just can't do it just for the sake of it, for the comedy value. I think I had someone say they wanted a Mr. Egg logo, so anyone that was used to go out in Birmingham on a night out and then hit like a kebab store or a Mr. Egg, that then you'll know. So I was getting some crazy requests, but yeah, I think it's good to see the foundation, because I say we, like me, my brother's been helping me, but we donate a couple of quid for every shirt that has the Aston Villa Foundation on the home shirt, and the same with the Acorns. So it's good to give a little something back as well. And I think, if regardless of what you think about Visit Rwanda or whatever, I think to get foundation or Acorns has probably been good for like raising awareness as well. So busy, it's been good though.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few of the old, like the new home shirt with the old sponsors, like the Davenports and computers and stuff like that. Some of them do look good, some of them don't quite go, but it's an interesting take. But good that you're busy.
Yeah, mate.
We were going to do our Premier League predictions, but such is the craziness of the transfer window at the moment. We're going to do a transfer special again. I suppose you'll start with Martinez and Zion Suzuki, because that kind of had calmed down, and then over the weekend it's obviously blown up. As it stands, that I'm aware, Suzuki is pretty much done, but Martinez obviously to Juve is now off, so that kind of leaves him in limbo. Nath, I'll come to you and get your thoughts on this one. Where are we standing on that whole situation?
Yeah, it's like you say, it's a bit of a mad one, isn't it? Like he was, after he was one of the players that I thought would be going, like after the Europa final, like in terms of, it was kind of the end of an era for some players, and I had Emi as the first one. So, and then it died. Damien came out and said like there's no chance of leaving, and then all of a sudden, we're then. Was it true? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. It was mentioned that Suzuki was coming before Emi was back on, right? In terms of like the reports, or was it around about the same time? Because I just thought it was a bit of a shock that this. Obviously, it was mentioned at the very start of summer, but then he got mentioned as in like, we're pretty much done. And then I heard about Juventus then upping their interest for Emi, but I don't know if I've got that wrong.
No, as far as I'm aware, I think so. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I think they wanted. They always kind of thought Emi was gonna go at some point.
Yeah.
And despite what his agent said and Damien said, it's all just to keep
to
keep us at ease. But their number one target was Suzuki, and then he was going PSG, and then they were like, okay, we'll kind of settle with Emi then. But then Emi was obviously in the background still flirting with other clubs, and then Suzuki then proposes himself to Villa, and then Villa were like, they knew that there's a chance they're going to have Emi still, but they can't pass up the chance of signing Suzuki, so that's why they've gone in for it. So, obviously, ideally, you want Emi to obviously find a new club, but in the back of their mind, I think they always kind of knew that this could happen.
Yeah, because I think in the background, I think I put it on X yesterday. Obviously, because I've got a very small connection with Harvey Elliott, so obviously I got the chance to speak to him last season, and he actually said on his day of like going into Bodymore Heath, day one, Martinez was sitting there with his bags packed. Like, he obviously didn't take the trip to Argentina at the time because he wanted that signing to Man United. He was ready to go. So the nonsense of, and I understand it's a PR thing when saying like, I was never going to go to Man United. It's a load of waffle, because he was literally sitting there with his bags packed, and we've got a lot of people that were in in the training ground at the time that was happening. So I think, you know, from a business perspective and a club perspective, if you've got a keeper that wanted to leave like 12 months ago and has not really said otherwise or kind of said, look, I'm here to stay, apart from when he's, you know, half soaked on a tour bus, you know, grateful as we are, like, I think it's smart that we've always been looking. You know, we couldn't have what we were having last season with just the uncertainty. So I think it's been shrewd, but I think it's been needed because, you know, who knew what Emi was going to do. But now we've got, well, you know, 3 keepers. It's that question is who do you start? Because regardless, and I think Juventus have dropped. They've bulked at the money, but also I think it's something to do with his finger and the injury that he's had. Do you still have him as your number one? I don't know. You know, I don't know that. I think that's the tricky one now. It's like you've still got one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Suzuki's obviously got some talent and he's young and up and coming, but do you drop one of the best goalkeepers we've probably ever had and still a really good goalkeeper just because now you've bought? I don't know. That's a difficult one for me, but it's a bit of madness for sure.
Like, I'm pretty sure that when David Ornstein reported, he said Suzuki would be going in as number 1, regardless if Emi stayed. So the one caveat to that I would say is I can't imagine Martinez is going to be great in the dressing room if he's backup goalkeeper. I would imagine, and they might be slightly left field, someone like Chelsea will surely think we'll take Martinez here for a couple of years for £10 million, €10 million, whatever. It's not massive money. I would imagine he gets a move away. I'm just not sure where. But I think it's quite good that Villa have been quite firm with it now because it keeps happening. At some point, you've got to draw the line and move on. They've obviously identified Suzuki. Looks a good goalkeeper. He could be the goalkeeper for the next 5-10 years. So they've obviously done their scouting on him. Where does Martinez rank in terms of Villa goalkeepers? Because he's probably the best that I've seen.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, my fan favourite was growing up was always Mark Bosnich. He was just diving all over the place. Like, he pulled off some spectacular saves, but he wasn't the greatest. Like, he couldn't kick to save his life and all that, but he was always my favourite. Martinez, probably pound for pound, is the best I've ever seen in a Villa goal, for sure. Like, hands down. I don't even think it's close from the stature of him. And yes, he came in with you know being in the background for Arsenal and kind of he's gone on. But I think even on his debut, right, he was excellent, saved a penalty, and I just think apart from like the occasional mistake, I just think he's been solid, and the fact that we've had him for so many years, and I think back to your point, Scott, in terms of Suzuki coming in, and he could be the goalkeeper for the next 4, 5, 6 seasons, hopefully. I think that's what you need from a goalkeeper. Chopping and changing every 2 years from a goalkeeper, I think it's just. Obviously, you have to get the right goalkeeper if you've got no choice, but that should be the plan always, that you bring in a goalkeeper who's going to be there for like at least 5 or 6 years unless some big money comes in. So, but yeah, Martinez is probably the best for me, pound for pound, easily.
Jay, we were saying on our little Villa chat that he's probably the one world-class player we've had under Emery, right?
Yeah, I think the rest are debatable, but Emi's a clear, world-class player for us. I think best goalie I had in my lifetime. I mean, I ain't got much to compare to. Mine's Lovre Kalinic and Brad Guzan, so the competition ain't that great for me.
Oh, that sounds dreadful, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does, doesn't it? Yeah. But yeah, no, I think Emi is. I think he's been our best player for years. I still think he is our best player, just because I feel he probably saves you about 15 points a season. He's unbelievable, and World Cup winner. I think 2-time Copa America winner. I think he lost in the final of the World Cup. Back-to-back Yashin Trophy winner. I don't see another Villa player sort of getting those sort of awards. even an outfield player equivalent. I don't see anyone kind of getting close to what Emi's done. And then the argument was always that he's done it on the international stage and not for Villa. And you know, he had that injury in the warm up for the Freiburg game, which is obviously his hand or his finger, his wrist, what's going on, still going on today. He done that in the Freiburg warm up, and you know, he's solid as ever. It's even just like, I think it was actually Manzambi had a shot and it bounced before it got to Martinez, and like sometimes they're quite tricky for goalies, and you know, he never messes those up, and it's it's just so sturdy, and from crosses, his corners, he's so commanding of his area, and it'll be a shame to see him go, but to touch on Suzuki, I think I was saying to my old man when the World Cup was going on, I was like, if we had to replace Emi, it'd be with him. And I don't know if any of you saw when England lost to Japan. I can't remember when it was, but it weren't even part of it wasn't part of the World Cup warm-ups, I don't think. It was just a friendly, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was just a friendly, and he played so well and I said, like, just on the ball, when I was like, you know, from a modern sort of outlook on it, I said it's unbelievable kind of what he was doing, and I was like, this is, you know, if Emi was to leave, this is who I'd go for. And very similar with Emi, big personality, very commanding of his area, claims crosses very well, big frame, similar to Emi, 6'4", you know, built very well. And he's very confident. I don't know if any of you have seen, he done an interview, I think it was last season, and he said he was like, I'm going to be the best goalkeeper in the world one day. But it wasn't even like a joking after, like, it was like a sort of like a stone cold sort of killer vibe off it, and he was like, I'm going to be the best goalie in the world one day. And it's like, that's what you want. And even, you know, I said when we signed Garnacho, even if it's the thing of, okay, he's with us for 4 years and then he moves to Bayern Munich for £80 million, so I think Villa are at that level at the minute where I can personally accept that, because for him to get that move, it means he's done so well for Villa, and he's got us, because eventually we want to be up there with the big boys, like on a financial level, and to do that, it's going to take so many years. And if, you know, say 5 years time he moves on for £80 million, so be it, because he would have, in that time, we would have won stuff, or we would have continuously qualified for Champions League. And yeah, for me, I'm all over the signing. If I could pick any player to replace Martinez, it would have been Suzuki.
But would you start him now over Emi? No.
So for me, I actually think, obviously, Brighton, I think Bezo will start anyway. But looking in like the long term, he wouldn't have come if he weren't guaranteed the number one spot. I don't know why. No one actually knows why the PSG deal fell off, because I've heard, like, David Ornstein said that Villa was always his target at the start of the summer. But I find that hard to believe, because let's be real, when you have PSG and Villa both coming at you, PSG are one of the best teams I've ever seen. So it's like this current PSG team. So you think, okay, you probably go PSG, but do you look at Safanov and you're like, okay, you're going to be back up to Safanov. And it's like, but we don't know if he's been told that or not. He might have, apparently it weren't wages related. So I don't know if maybe Villa have come in last minute, and maybe that Juve deal for Emi came in earlier, but we found out later. Maybe that's come in and Villa have gone, okay, why don't we try going for this? But I know that from what David Ornstein said, which you take as biblical, he said that he always wanted Villa from day one. So I'd like to think that it was a case of bit of stalling on the PSG front, and then when he heard Villa was coming in for him, he jumped ship, which is the ideal case. But I know it's not to do with wages. That's what the reports are saying. So it's just nice that a player's like, Villa's in for me. I want to go Villa. This is the club that I want. Instead of the flip side, yeah, Martinez is our best player and one of the greatest goalie I've ever seen at Villa. But the flip side, complete opposite to Suzuki, where he's like, oh no, I'm going to make that. I'm going to go elsewhere. I'm always looking elsewhere. So it's nice to know that who we have in goal next season actually wants to be there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I think it's a sensible move. Martinez is 34 next week, and really, Martinez has helped Villa. Villa have helped Martinez, and we've both been on a trajectory that's gone up. And it's probably a good time to call it quits. And hopefully he gets a move, and then there's no kind of tension or who should be starting and whatnot. The other one that is apparently close, but seems to be going on for a while, is obviously Ruggieri from Atletico Madrid. I saw earlier they were saying that Madrid want a replacement first, but we've obviously touched on them already. Jay, no thoughts on the Ruggieri one?
Yeah, just not really too much, really. I think he's from what I've seen of him, he's a decent left back, and obviously he's played for some decent teams. Obviously Madrid being one of them. I just think he comes in. The thing is, he's obviously like with Matson as well, like who's starting, because I thought he was phenomenal against PSG and in the Super Cup. I thought best I've seen him in a long time, actually, and obviously a different player to Luca Dean, and that's why we had them both, because they offered something different. But it's whether Matson is going to be given the opportunity to start, and actually it's flipped, and Ruggieri's going to be the one that sits in the background. I'm not entirely sure, because I don't think really him coming in, he's clear of he's going to be our next left back for a few years, because I just don't think he's that good in terms of it's a guarantee. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, a good signing. I think it adds some quality to our squad. I just don't know whether he'll be our starter going off that. Matson's got to take his opportunity, and so far in pre-season, I think he has. So we'll see.
Yeah, Matson in the Super Cup, probably the best game I've ever seen him play for Villa.
Yeah.
But he was I echo everything you said. He was incredible in the Super Cup.
Yeah.
The other side, fullback, Jay, a few links still to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Potentially that could happen. I see they're talking 25 million, but can't see how a player gets signed for 15, 2 years later gets relegated, and then they put 10 million on him. If that was to happen, what kind of price tag would you think would be reasonable?
15, I'd say so. I think anything above 15, you're talking, is a bit pricey. I think 15, even so, like I said, 2 years older, been relegated, and you're paying the same price. Some people might even look at that and think that's a bit steep. But for me, I think 15 million. I think that would be a fair-ish price for me. If he was to come in, I think it'll be good. Obviously, lacks in the attacking department, but I mean, I think anyone that's watched Wan-Bissaka knows he's the best defensive fullback I think I've seen in a very long time. I know what you can't get past him. Like when a winger is running at him, they always end up cutting back because he's so good defensively. And he makes up for how good he is defensively for his lack of going forward. And I think we might see just a shift where, what we done 2 years ago, where Ezra was always playing right back and tucking in. You could see a phase where, we're playing Wan-Bissaka and he's tucking in to make sort of like a back three and releasing Matson on that left, like we did a couple of years ago. Likewise, you might get Ruggieri, because at Atalanta sometimes he played as a left centre half in a free, so you might get it flipped on the other side and have Kashi going forward, and then you're left with Garnacho, or let's say Garnacho high and wide, giving us width on the left. So it's flipped, because usually that was the Bailey role. So it gives us a good healthy balance. Again, 15 million I'd be happy with, but any more than that, wouldn't be a signing personally for me that I'd make, because it just gets to the point of being too pricey.
I mean, he wasn't in the West Ham squad, was he? So at the weekend, so maybe there's something in that, but one to keep an eye on. I'll throw to you, Nath. There's been a few rumours today about Saudi Arabia and Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
And I'll also throw Conser into that, because they're obviously meant to report back to training today. I've not seen anything on social media to say that they're back. I don't know if you two have.
No.
It was his missus on TikTok put something up. Watkins' missus on TikTok put something up this morning, apparently.
Okay, but as far as what Villa put out, I've not.
Oh no, Villa ain't put nothing out. No.
And I was kind of half expecting, like, I don't know, the boys are back or something like that. Is there a world where we end the transfer window and we've lost Watkins and Konsa? What do you think's going to happen there with that one, Nath?
I don't think Watkins goes to Saudi Arabia. No, I don't think so. I think that's one that's probably the furthest away of like being totally false or nowhere near like getting close to it. Konsa, probably, yeah, he's probably the one that could go. But again, it will be down to the fee, and obviously because it's Arsenal, it could just be, well, you're not going to pay what we want. You've got no chance now. I know there's rumours as in like they'll pay 30 million and then give us a player, and then on loan with an obligation to buy, and then there's the other 10 million in part. So maybe we could get a deal across the line. But again, I just think now, unless Emery sees, and I don't know how, but unless he sees like the Iceman coming in to the centre back with Pau and like utilising Mings a lot more than he did last season, I just don't see how we can let him go as well, even if the money is right, because we don't have someone that's coming. I mean, there's been no rumours as far as I'm aware, apart from this Arsenal player that has requested to leave or has been told that he needs to get out of Arsenal this summer. There's been no one else mentioned as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, that one I think that would be the biggest loss, actually. I mean, like I was settled on Rodgers going, Luca, fine. Tielemans was a little bit of a shock, but again, because we've got some solid midfield players around him, okay, as good as he is, and I highly rate Yuri. Losing Konsa now, I just think would be a massive, massive blow. So I hope he doesn't, but he would probably be the most likely out of between him and I just don't see Watkins going to Saudi Arabia at all, to be honest.
Yeah, the Konsa going would cut me deep. I think that out of all of them, like my favourite player. I just absolutely love Konsa.
Yeah, just at the start of the summer, like before the World Cup, or if it was similar to Rodgers around that timing, then okay, because then it would have given us some time to kind of have a look. But now, like, I just don't, it doesn't make it from a Villa perspective, not necessarily from a player perspective. And he will slot into Arsenal's defence like no problems, like because the way that he plays, But it just doesn't make sense to me now from a Villa perspective to let him go now. I think you're going to have to wait another year, or at least in January, where we can get in a replacement.
Yeah, similar to what Palace did with Mark Gay, right? He had 2 years left on his deal. Like, they still got a fairly good price. If that's something that it's got to, like you said, it's got to work for Villa ultimately. Jay, what do you think on them two?
I don't see either of them going, to be fair. On Esri, I don't see someone paying near £60 million for him, even though he is worth that. Liverpool's the only ones that are rumoured to be interested were Arsenal and Liverpool. Liverpool got Araujo, and Arsenal aren't going to pay that sort of money. If they're only willing to be paying 80 million for Rodgers, they're not going to pay 60 for Esri. And in terms of Ollie, Ollie would actually be the one that I would miss the most because he guarantees you goals. And we are significantly undercooked going forward this season in terms of proven players to step up for Villa in the Premier League. Last year we had Tielemans, who would chip in. We had Rodgers as well. We've only really, obviously, you got Maggio, unknown. Tammy hasn't done it since he's been back. Garnacho's obviously going to be an unknown. Alisson's obviously an unknown. Hemmings is an unknown. The only ones you can really count on to say you get at least 10 goals and assists combined is Buendia and McGinn, and then Ollie's going to get 15 a season. If you get rid of Ollie and you get another striker in, it's that bedding in period, which I think with the amount we've lost this season, this summer, in players, I don't think we can afford to do. So for me, I don't see any of them going anywhere. Watkins, he's going to want the 100 goals, Premier League goals. So no one in the Prem's going to pay that money. It's going to have to be like a Turkey or a Saudi Arabia. And again, I think that kind of goes against everything he probably believes in, to be fair. So I don't see him going anywhere unless a monster bid comes in. But again, don't see it happening from a top European club. And touching on, I'm trying to think about Brighton going forward. Like I says about Beezer, I think Beezer will play. I don't think Ezra will play. I think Lindelof, he's been there all pre-season. I think Lindelof will probably play, but I actually think Watkins will play, even though he's had no pre-season. I think he'll get the nod. I know Tammy's looked injured in the last friendly, but I think even if Tammy was fit, I think they'd still play Ollie. Yeah, I don't see anything. I don't see either of them two going. To be fair.
Well, yeah, I think if we lose them two, it's a lot of change on top of a lot of change already. We obviously still need to add a couple. I think if Jerry gets done, Wan-Bissaka maybe gets done, we still need to add one more attacking player and another centre midfielder, really. So I think there's going to be it's either going to be a really crazy week this week, and there'll be lots of movement, or it roll into next week. To wrap it up, Jimmy Rimmer obviously passed away. Now, he's before all of our times, really, but obviously a legend. We all would have heard a few stories and whatnot. I said to a guy that I work with, Jimmy Rimmer died, and he said, "Oh, who's Jimmy Rimmer?" And I thought, "Oh, God."
Yeah.
But yeah, we're obviously reading a few different things about him. Was number one for, I think, 6 years up until that injury. Played in 2 European Cup finals and didn't finish either of the Cup finals, I think. I'm right in saying one for United and one for Villa. So I'd imagine there'll be some kind of, tribute to him at the Arsenal game. But just another bit of sad news,
definitely. It's another Villa legend, and we don't have a lot of them. So yeah, he's definitely down as one of the absolute Villa legends. So it is sad news. It is sad news that we've lost one of the the main people that we've looked up to over the years. Even though again, it was all before our time. Me only by a couple of years, but they've lived long in the history of Villa folklore, and kind of we've grown up to remember people like him. So yeah, it was a sad day when that was announced, for sure.
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of people just know that cup final for Spink coming on, but Rimmer played in, I think, all 9 of the games leading up to it, and obviously started it. So yeah,
he done the double penalty save, didn't he? Was it Dynamo Berlin?
Yeah,
he done the double penalty save, and even if you look back, if that was done today, I know football was very different back then, but even if it was done today, you'd think, how the fuck did he save that? Like,
yeah, true.
Yeah, and I think he made well over 200 appearances for us, and
yeah, he did. Yeah.
I know there was a bit more loyalty in the game back then, but even today, like, you look, and if someone gets over 200 appearances for a club, it's some doing in today's game. So sad. I think that's him, and obviously Gary Shawner. I think, are they the only two so far that have passed away? I think.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, so we're finishing on a bit doom and gloom, but obviously I think it needed to be mentioned.
100%, yeah, definitely.
Right, that will do us. Like I said, we were going to do a Premier League prediction video, but we've done the transfers just because it's all popping off at the moment. And as it stands, no one signed. And as it stands, it could all change again in a matter of minutes, hours, and days. So we just have to keep an eye on it as we go. But Nate, thanks for jumping on.
Pleasure, boys. Thanks again.
Jay, I'll chat to you soon. But thanks for watching, and we'll be back maybe this week or next week with another video. Up the Villa from me.
Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.